Planting delays and other factors are creating some uncertain times in both corn and soybean markets. Between the prospective plantings report on the last day of March and this week's new supply-demand numbers, there has been plenty to chew on. I talked to Extension Ag economist John Michael Riley to try and sort it all out. Well, John Michael, those March 31st reports put a little movement in the corn and soybean markets, didn't it?
It definitely did. Trading was fairly volatile that day. You had a corn number that came in less than what was expected, a soybean number that came in less than expected, and the soybean number was really one that was surprising, about 1.3 million acres below the analyst expectation of what those national soybean acres were going to be. In the end, we're just over 89 million acres of corn plantings intended, and right at 84.5 million acres of soybean intended acres across the U.S. So a very volatile day nonetheless.
And the hammer really came down in the corn pit especially, right, as a result of those numbers.
That's correct. I think everybody was sitting there thinking we're going to have fewer acres of corn. We've got a wet spring here in the deep south where most of the corn is usually already planted by now. It's still kind of lingering because of the damp soils. And then you have this lower commodity prices across the board. Corn and soybean prices obviously much lower than where we were at a year ago. And so all of this is really just playing into a lot of uncertainty, I think, about what that number was going to be, but also even moving forward, what that number is going to actually look like in the end.
And as far as on the soybean side, just quite the opposite as far as market reaction. Those prices picked up some.
It has, and the soybean pit wasn't nearly as active. Obviously, corn and soybean, they kind of look at each other, and there was more volatility when the report hit. It wasn't nearly as drastic, and both prices have picked up since then, but soybeans didn't take near the hit to have to recover from, and that's why we're seeing those a little bit better today than what they were after that report.
Well, back to your earlier comment about corn and how much may or may not be planted this spring. A lot of chatter about that as we have had a lot of weather delays this year.
No doubt, and again, that's mostly right now impacting the Deep South because we are first out of the gate with plantings. Usually we're starting in the early parts of March of getting the corn planted, and we're very far behind in terms of that. However, you know, the general notion is once you kind of prep the soil for corn, you really have to go that way, and it's going to take a lot of momentum to move you away from planting corn. So we'll see how that shakes out in the June 30th report.